Aloha and welcome to our podcast, Investing in Hawaii, where we show everyday people how to invest in real estate, build generational wealth, and create financial freedom in Hawaii. My name is Zasha Smith.
And I'm Fuzzy Jardine. What's up, gang?
And today we have Dedrick with us, and we're going to be sharing a little bit about his story. So, Dedrick, how you been?
Doing great. Enjoying the time out here in Vegas. It's awesome to start getting close with the lady who got me introduced into real estate, and just excited for what's to come this year.
I know, I'm excited that I've seen you grow so much. So maybe tell our audience a little bit of backstory about who you are, kind of where you grew up, and what you're doing now.
Okay, so my name's Dedrick. Like Zasha just said, I was born in Guam actually, and then when I was 3 years old, my mom had my special needs sister, so we moved out to Hawaii to seek better medical care. And although the blood that runs through me is Chamorro, there's a bit of a Hawaii boy that shaped who I am today. So
what are you doing now?
What am I doing now? I'm just trying to service my investors, be an impact into the community, whether that's back home on the islands or here out in Las Vegas, and just striving to provide value and help others.
Hey, we appreciate you coming on, and we're stoked to hear your story because you're a young gun, and I know it's not like a comfortable position where you're sitting at, so we're gonna try to keep you comfortable. So relax, have fun. It's like you took a sip of beer, or
I'm over here camera shy.
We just kind of wanted to hear your story, right? This is kind of the reason why Zasha and I put together this podcast, is to bring on guests to share their story and show that you can be an inspiration to other young people as well. So growing up in Guam, what is it like compared to Hawaii?
What is it like compared to Hawaii? Well, if you think Hawaii is hard to afford, Guam is even more so, especially in regards to like shipping taxes. Like Guam gets a huge chunk of that. My mom's side, she grew up in a single household, lived on. We have villages out there instead of cities. And then my dad, he was actually a farmer growing up. He grew up on a ranch, hunted, fish, almost like how you do it back home in Hawaii. They had a business selling their crops from their ranch, and that's how they handled their finances back then.
So a lot of like how I grew up too, because I grew up on a pig farm as well. So we hunted for our food and fished for our food, and did a lot of trading and stuff. But my grandfather was, the blue collar guy who would always be away for work, and I think he flew away to Christmas Island and all different islands to go. He was a painter.
Oh, nice.
And I can kind of relate to your story. You just you inspire me as a young person.
I appreciate that.
When I was younger, I don't know if you into it too, but you could tell your story. But I was more into surfing, partying, and then really didn't have the mentality to be on a podcast, right? Because back then I don't think podcast was famous, but now here I am alongside with Zasha. But it's inspiring to see younger people trying to get or better their life, and stoked to have you on board. So what else question can we ask here?
So it sounds like you didn't come from much money, which that's people's perspective when you get into real estate. Oh, I got to worry about the money. So maybe give us a little bit of backstory of how you got started or even found out about real estate investing, and then a little bit about your journey and what's brought you to where you're at.
To take the action. Got it. So in regards to how I got started, I would say when I was about 18 years old, like my last year of high school, my parents, they split up. And at that time, my mom had to take care of my special needs sister and my other sister, who at that time was only like 2 years old. My dad was he wasn't really in the picture when that happened. So it made me had to step it up. First thing I did, I googled how to get rich.
Hey, that's what I did too.
Yeah, exactly. I googled how to get rich, and that purple book, Rich Dad Poor Dad, popped up, and I soaked into that. Growing up, I didn't like to read any books, and that was the first book I can proudly say where I went from the front end to the back end. So got introduced into that, learned about the 4 quadrants. I'd say for like 3-4 years, I was testing out different things. I went into Bitcoin when it was very, very low price, but it made its first peak at 15,000, and then it tanked, and I sold. But 2 years later, it went up to 60,000. So right there was my first lesson as an investor to not try to go for those quick hits. Try things like Shopify, drop shipping, and then never really picked off too heavy off of that. But I was always like, how do I say this? Like hungry for what it would be. And then it was crazy. I had a rough year when the pandemic started. At that time, my little sister passed away on June 16th, and then a week before I turned 21, my dad passed away. So it was a little bit mixed emotions with all of that going on, with my little sister being like the inspiration for my life, and then my dad having that not so strong relationship. A lot of mixed emotions. I went to a very low point in my life, and one day I looked in the mirror and I said, this is not the person that my sister would be proud of. So at that time, I was getting a lot of stimulus checks. And I was living in California, haven't been back to Hawaii since my sister's funeral. But even when I was out there for the funeral, it wasn't like a vacation or anything. So I had all that stimulus money, and I just felt like a really low point in my life. And Hawaii was calling me for some reason. So what was supposed to be a winter vacation ended up turning into 10 months. And like revived myself from that. Started doing all the local boy things that I needed to fill. But I guess like after doing that so often, you can see like, how do I say this? To doing that so often, like it wasn't really a life that felt, how do I say it? Like satisfying. Yeah, heartfelt. I told myself that trip that I took to Hawaii what was going to get me to the next step. So after that 10 months, I started looking at like what career did I want to get into. I was looking at going to Job Corps or joining the military. Mm-hmm. And then from joining the military, I started looking at VA loans, how to leverage VA loans, and found out about house hacking. And when I got introduced into wholesaling, that's where I started to take action. It was your content that said something to chase the uncomfortable, get comfortable with being uncomfortable, and that's like forced me to get out and network. Another thing you said was if you wanna do something, go find the people who are already doing it and provide value to them. So I feel like I've been standing on that ever since I started. It's helped me out a lot. I'm so grateful for the position that I'm in today. I get emotional talking about this, guys. So we're trying to hold back the tears today.
It's okay, man. We're proud that you took the opportunity to better yourself, right, and your family. And I know you were in a dark place, and you was able to recover from the inspiration of your sister, right? And like myself, and I'm sure Zasha also was in a dark place as well. And I think my grandmother was my inspiration for me to make my turn. But I was going down the wrong path, and I think the rest changed my entire life. And that's where my life really changed. And I made it from that day to better myself each and every day by whatever it took to not go back down that route, and putting myself in front of people that wasn't doing the same thing that I was doing to get me into that position. Right. Yeah, we're proud of you. I
appreciate that. We had to do what we had to do.
When I think one of the key things you mentioned was that you came to this realization, you're at a low point, that you needed to change. And a lot of people are kind of stuck in that middle ground where they know they need to change, but it's hard because everything they're doing, they're already comfortable with. And maybe even they're working their job, they're paying their bills, they're getting by. So what, I guess, I know you're inspired by your sister and helping your family, but what internally helped you to fully make that change? I know you said some content that you're watching. Did you start going to networking events, or what people, I guess, connected you to scaling?
Well, I would say I just took action. I started on YouTube. It initially started from marketing in my household. So,
and you're making money. Like how was it? What was the income looking like when you first? Like, what were you doing first? Like, what kind of job?
At that time, I was working at the ramp. So I was working for UPS,
nice.
Loading the planes, weighing them. I was a lead at that time, the youngest lead on the job. But small hammer, little hammer, you get down.
Yes,
but I wasn't making too much money. Nothing really. That was another thing from the money that I was making with that. I just saw that while keeping in mind my mom and my little sisters, that it was barely enough to take care of myself, So in regards to taking care of them, I needed to do something bigger.
And what was it like? Because you guys went from Guam, then you went to Cali or Hawaii?
Hawaii.
First? And then your mom stayed in Hawaii and you went to Cali?
So I know I'm pretty sure you guys know this, how Hawaii is big on athleticism.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I started playing football when I was about 6th grade. Got really big into that exposure. It's all about getting the exposure. Same thing for investors and content. It's all about getting that exposure. So I would go out in the summers to football camps, and then one day kind of had like this recruiter invited me to participate in high school out in California, in Buena Park. So I took that shot. I guess I've been trying to bet on myself for a while now. Yeah. So I took that shot. I was staying in Buena Park, and then my mom and dad moved out to California, and shortly after they parted ways. So we ended up staying at our great grandmother's house in Cali, and was there for about 5 to 6 years.
Mm-hmm. And then like now, what you up to? Like you working for? I mean, what are you doing? Like, you still investing in cryptocurrency? Where are you heading right now for 2024? What is your big goal for this year?
So I guess just like from where it started, I'll start from where it started. I was introduced into wholesaling, and then I started marketing within my household. So you guys are familiar with how the Islander households, they're multi-generational. So you have great grandmother, grandma, mom, yourself. It's like 4 generations right there. So I had a household in Cali with like 12, 13 people. And I said, hey, I'm looking for a house to buy. They're like, Dedrick, can you even qualify for a house right now? And I said, I got partners. Because you got to leverage the partners. And man, it was crazy how it's worked.
Sorry to interrupt, but where did you learn that though? Like, because was it through watching YouTube videos, or like, because you don't just come up with it? You must have had something that you watched or someone that inspired you.
I guess it was just getting uncomfortable with that, like saying things that we're not used to saying, but I had an idea of what the end goal would be.
Right, but like you was watching a video to learn wholesaling, like who inspired you? What videos, like YouTube channel, what person?
Oh, okay, okay. So I'd say Zach and then it was the ones who made me take action, which was actually Zasha and Jeremy Mateo. Yeah.
Jeremy Mateo is such an inspiration for a lot of locals.
100%. Yeah.
Well, and this just goes to show you never know who's watching you. Like, I remember when I first met you, and for me, I'm uncomfortable still speaking on stage, doing these podcasts, and I was an extreme introvert. I didn't, I was stuck in my cubicle for 10 years, so I didn't really talk to many people, and it just really makes me keep doing this, because I meet people like you who just one video or one word or one saying just hits your heart and you start going. And, coming from the background of low income housing and struggling a lot, and then seeing other people in the same position, but then take action way sooner than me, is inspiring, because I didn't start till I was in my 30s and you started in your early 20s. So.
Oh, you're 30 already? Not even.
Creeping up in age. Like uncle.
But this is going to be 50.
Oh, look at this. Like, you're going to be 30.
Oh, yeah. Honestly, I'd say like the crypto and the drop shipping, e-commerce, I didn't stay consistent with that. Mm-hmm. But I guess everyone I was watching throughout that time before seeing you and Jeremy's content was all people that I didn't really relate to, knowing that you had like a single mom growing up, and how hard it was for you growing up, and especially being back home in Hawaii, that just resonated to me a lot. Similar with like Rich Dad Poor Dad, knowing that he grew up in Hawaii as well. That's where I resonate to my community, But yeah, so grateful that I came across your content. No matter what you do, don't stop posting.
When was your first deal? Like, after you learned, or they inspired you? Like, wholesaling is a way that you can do real estate without any of your money, any of your own money. And what you said earlier was like, you went to your family and they said, you don't have no money or credit. Like, how are you going to do it? And he said, a partner. That's what I started with. I didn't have the money as well, but I had coaches, or the circle that I was around, who did have the money.
Right.
So how was that, like, your first deal? Talk us through that.
Okay, yeah. So I was telling everyone in the family, like, hey, I'm looking for a property to buy. I didn't do any cold calls yet. I didn't do any door knocking. And then 3 weeks later, my uncle comes back. He's like, hey, the next door neighbors are in foreclosure. And I was like, no ways. Mm-hmm. That as well, the urgency on the foreclosure, it made me take action. I was like, they needed a solution for what they're going through. Mm-hmm. It was also a probate. It was a property that was passed down. They didn't set up their probate, so there's a bunch of different sticky things that was going on. So there was a lot of questions that I had that I did not know how to find the answers. So I just started DMing everyone, and then it wasn't until sub 2 I was introduced into subject 2, mm-hmm. and it was actually Zasha. I said, hey, I'm trying to find out about subject 2, and she said, why don't you check out my friend Pace Morby? Yeah. And that helped me get the deal through right there. So yeah, I found people in the market that were able to understand the scenario that was going on, and they took the lead from there, but they made sure that I was taken care of.
Oh, that's amazing. Like, and you didn't have any of your own money.
None of it.
You really didn't have the experience with real estate. First deal, and then what was the amount that you made? What was the payout?
Okay, I say this humbly. It was 25. It's 25 for like not even 2 days of my time.
It's so crazy because I paid $26,000 for my coaching program, and just one deal could pay for that education. Right? It's just so awesome to hear, like, 25 grand your first deal.
Yeah.
So awesome, bro.
Yeah, it was great, but I guess the aspect there was a bunch of questions that I didn't have. Mm-hmm. I mean, didn't have answers to. So I knew that I needed to get a mentor, find a mentor. So I was considering joining a mentorship, but then you also said, like, hit up the people who are already doing it and provide value to them. So shortly after that deal happened, I moved out here to Las Vegas, and within the first like week I was out here, I was sliding in everyone's DMs. I was like, hey, I'm out here. Let's get to work. What do you guys need help with?
Right.
You guys want to have a meeting? Stuff I would never expect myself to say, honestly, but it was just getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. And picked up a mentor. They had me doing door knocks, cold calls, doing all the tangible stuff, but it's more so learning about the intangible lessons, like being able to stick through when things aren't really going through, and being able to follow up those late nights, early mornings, all the sacrifices you gotta take. But just grateful for the journey.
So I know you had talked about connecting with the right people. That's some of the takeaways you had. How did that start how did you know who to connect with in order to fast track your journey?
Well, I would say first I started off with the people who were showing themselves to the world. And then I'd reach out to them, and then I'd like fill them out. You know, you want to work with the people who match your energy, you know, because that way you can be able to amplify it and do even more with more than one person. But yeah, I'd say finding the right people who suit you and your goals, and getting together and just being of value to each other.
That was a good way to think about it, right? Like surrounding yourself with the right people to where they uplift you if you're down, or they're there for you when you need someone. So
Yeah.
And then, so what advice, I guess, or what would you do differently if you were to start all over again and you're 18 till now, or if you're talking to someone out there who is, you know, in their late teens, early 20s, I guess, what advice would you give to them?
Man, I'd say the greatest thing about being young, this is in my personal experience, is that everyone wants to talk to a young person. I went to like almost all of the meetups out here. I was probably the youngest guy like every time, man. For the people who are seasoned in the game, you know, some of them may not have like the family that they get to talk to these things about. So when they're talking to me, it's almost like they're passing the torch. So that's a hidden sauce right there. If you're under the age of 25 looking to get into real estate, find the people who've been in it, ask them the questions. They'd be glad to help.
And I think a lot of people are scared because they don't have experience or they are young, but you are able to use that as a benefit. And I know the first time I met you was at an event, and I was surprised how young you were. And the second time I met you was because I put out on social media I was going to be in Vegas, and you're like, hey, if you need any help at all, let me know. And I did. You picked me up and took me to podcasts, met Brandon Turner, Ryan Pineda, and you're like, man, this is so exciting. I would have never got this opportunity if I never just put myself out there and, you know, added value to other people, other experiencing people. So I know you're on the right path, and I'm really excited for where you're going to go in the future.
I appreciate that.
do you have some type of like last thing for our guests, like that you can say, like a one-liner?
How do I say this? What should I say? Last one-liner for the guests. I would say strive to change lives. Look how you can take care of people, how you can build your community. Always tell your loved ones that you love them as well, and cherish the moments that you have. Never give yourself too much to the business where it takes away from your family. I've seen that a lot happen, and I've seen a lot of people who have been in the game longer than me where, you know, their values and family aren't too strong as it is in the business. So I'd say establish the health, wealth, love, and happiness. Work on those 4 pillars and you'll be great.
So you being young and in social media, and I know you said that's been a big influence on you. So if you're not already, follow HI Fuzz and Invest with Zasha on Instagram. Where can people find you? Like, where are you most active?
Oh man, I'm not even active on the social media. Too busy making the code calls. But if you want to get me on Instagram, Dedrick.B, DEEDRICK.B.
Nice, right on. Yeah, so don't hesitate, all you young folks out there, follow this guy, and then follow us too, of course, and you guys can gain a lot of knowledge through following young guys like this and old fart like me, and half
beautiful
young.
Woman. Thank you for watching Investing with Hawaii. We hope you got lots of value. Please like, subscribe, and comment below any questions you have for me, Fuzzy, or Dedrick. We'd love to help you.
If you want anybody that you feel we should interview on our podcast that can bring value to you, please let us know. And we'll see you on the next one. Aloha.